If you've been following the news recently, you'll know that the most important thing going on in the world right now is the drama surrounding the Ballon d'Or. Forget about bombs dropping on Kharkiv or Gaza, reports that the main Atlantic Ocean circulation, known as AMOC, might be on the verge of total collapse, and the upcoming US presidential election. What really matters is which footballers' egos have been bruised and which clubs are throwing a tantrum over the awarding of a golden ball which isn't even made out of real gold. It's actually made out of a wax-like substance apparently, covered with 5 kilograms of 18-karat gold plating, making its scrap value about $1,780. Bloody cheapskates. In case you haven't been following the most important thing that has ever happened, I'll start from the beginning. The Ballon d'Or is the most prestigious individual accolade in world football, previously won by the likes of Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Johan Cruyff. It had been widely reported in the build-up to the 2024 Ballon d'Or that Real Madrid and Brazil's Vinicius Junior would receive this year's award, following a season in which he scored 26 goals and made 12 assists for club and country, winning both La Liga and the UEFA Champions League. However, on the day of the ceremony, because nothing is allowed to be a surprise anymore, we must first learn about it through social media, thus rendering the actual ceremony a total non-event. It was revealed that Vinicius Junior hadn't won the 2024 Ballon d'Or after all, but Manchester City and Spain midfielder Rodri had won it instead. I know, right? The drama.
It's all the drama, Mick. I just love it.
Real Madrid subsequently threw a bit of a hissy fit, refusing to send anyone to the ceremony in Paris, despite the fact that they won the Men's Club of the Year award. Carlo Ancelotti won the Men's Johan Cruyff Trophy, Kylian Mbappe jointly won the Gerd Muller Trophy, alongside Harry Kane, and their players came second, third and fourth in overall Ballon d'Or voting. That, Real Madrid contend, constitutes a lack of respect for Real Madrid. In an official club statement, Real Madrid told AFP and the Spanish media, quote, "If the award criteria doesn't give it to Vinicius as the winner, then those same criteria should point to Carvajal as the winner. As this was not the case, it is clear that Ballon d'Or UEFA does not respect Real Madrid, and Real Madrid does not go where it is not respected." End quote. The fallout from Rodri's triumph, Vinny's snubbing, and Real Madrid's sulking has been enormous, and I must admit, I have been far more surprised to discover that anyone still cares about the Ballon d'Or than I was at who actually won it. Although, admittedly, that wouldn't have been the case if Dani Carvajal had won it. I hope that I could sit this one out and just let it all blow over.
Take car, go to Mum's, kill Phil, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy!
But after giants of the football industry like Pep Guardiola and Thogden weighed in with their views, and a whole load of you requested my thoughts on it, I have meekly and pathetically fallen in line. Hey, look, there's a reason why this channel was once dubbed the People's Channel, and I'll be damned if I lose that tagline over a refusal to get involved in a drama that I truly could not care less about. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at who actually votes for the winner of the Ballon d'Or and how they vote, a rather significant consideration which seems to have been lost in most of the discourse, who deserved to win it based upon that stated criteria, and why Real Madrid's boycott is about more than just the Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or, like Leon Trotsky, has always been misunderstood. Most people think of the Ballon d'Or as an award designed to recognise the best player in world football over the course of a calendar year. It's an understandable mistake, but that has never actually been the basis upon which the Ballon d'Or is awarded. For a start, the Ballon d'Or didn't open to non-Europeans until 1995, when Liberian forward George Weah won the award, and it was only in 2007 that it became a truly global award, open to not just non-Europeans playing in Europe, but also those playing their club football outside of Europe. More importantly, the criteria has never actually been who played best over the last 12 months. For many years, France football had a 3-point criteria to guide all Ballon d'Or voters. 1. Individual and collective performances, brackets winners during the year. 2. Player class, brackets talent and fair play. And 3. Player's career. As you can see, performances during the year only constituted one of the 3 advisory bullet points, and even then, there is an emphasis put on individual performances, taken to mean those in especially high profile or impactful games. Class was the second criteria, combining both talent and fair play, the latter of which has very rarely actually been referred to when it comes to Ballon d'Or winners, but no wonder Luis Suarez never won one. And the third criteria is a player's overall career, basically detached from the season or year in question. I made a video about why I think that football's individual awards are broadly stupid, meaningless, and in some cases just outright corrupt a little while ago, and some of the pushback that I got was from people claiming that, whatever the stated criteria, people just vote sincerely for who they think played the best that year. Now, that is, with the greatest of respect, bollocks. The very first recipient of the Ballon d'Or, all the way back in 1956, was Stanley Matthews, one of England, and indeed Europe's greatest ever players. Matthews was a phenomenon, described by Pelé as the man who taught us the way that football should be played, who absolutely deserved to win a Ballon d'Or, if not multiple, throughout the duration of his playing career. During the 1930s, for 6 straight seasons before the outbreak of World War II, Matthews was unplayable, tearing the likes of France, Germany, and Czechoslovakia to shreds, and in the post-war era, he enjoyed a stupendous debut campaign at Blackpool and inspired them to the FA Cup in the 1952-53 season. In any of those years, you could well argue that Matthews was the best player in Europe. When he actually won the Ballon d'Or in 1956, however, he was 41 years old. Stanley Matthews is possibly, in fact, I would go as far as to say probably, the greatest 41-year-old footballer of all time. He embarrassed Nilton Santos, arguably the greatest left-back the game has ever seen, who was then in his prime, at Wembley, age 41, and he was the star man in a Blackpool team that finished second in the Old First Division. Matthews was a perfectly reasonable candidate for the 1956 Ballon d'Or then, but the reality is that he won it because of the second and third elements of the stated criteria as much as the first. In terms of class, he was a first-rate professional and, at that time, a candidate as the greatest player of all time, as well as being religiously respectful towards referees, not only never receiving a single caution, but making a point to never even question any of their decisions, considering it to be a pointless exercise, and his career was a remarkable tale of longevity, unrivaled in the history of the sport, both at the time and in the 70 years that have followed. Matthews' 1956 Ballon d'Or, therefore, much like his 1963 FWA Footballer of the Year award, then aged 48, was as much a Lifetime Achievement Award as it was a recognition of his performances solely over the prior 12 months. And while that may seem antithetical to what we consider to be the point of the Ballon d'Or, as per the actual rules, it makes perfect sense. The Ballon d'Or, again like Leon Trotsky, has also always been controversial. From Di Stefano missing out to Matthews in 56, to Johan Cruyff's third crown in 74, despite his great rival Franz Beckenbauer captaining Bayern Munich in Germany, to success in the Bundesliga, Champions League and World Cup that season, Matthias Sammer beating Ronaldo in 96, and the scrapping of the award due to COVID in 2020, despite almost all football continuing behind closed doors, robbing Robert Lewandowski of his best shot at the award, this is nothing new. Cruyff, despite winning the Ballon d'Or on what was a record 3 occasions, in 1971, 1973 and 1974, dismissively described the Ballon d'Or as, quote, a bunch of journalists and people voting for their friends. And he was right. As I covered in that video that I mentioned a moment ago, even a cursory look at Ballon d'Or voting patterns exposes the absurd politics involved in the process. Throughout their entire careers, Lionel Messi only twice voted for Cristiano Ronaldo in Ballon d'Or voting. That's not just putting him first, that is, voting for him at all. Meanwhile, Ronaldo literally never once voted for Messi. Are we to believe that Cristiano Ronaldo never once considered Lionel Messi to be among the 3 best players in the world? Or do we think that maybe the voting process isn't entirely done in good faith? Almost all of Messi and Ronaldo's votes throughout their careers have gone to either their club or international teammates, and while I am using them as the two players who just happen to have won the Ballon d'Or more times than anyone else, they are the rule, not the exception. I like to use Lionel Messi in 2012 as the best example of this, because it was a calendar year in which he scored 91 goals and made 29 assists, shattering numerous records in the most remarkable year that a footballer has had in living memory. It is hard to imagine that anyone, therefore, wouldn't have acknowledged that Lionel Messi was the best player in the world in 2012, isn't it? Well, imagine harder. Hugo Lloris was such a die-hard member of the Goalkeepers Union that he sat there with a completely straight face and actually voted for Iker Casillas as the best player on the planet in 2012, with Messi not even making his top three. Meanwhile, Portugal captain Bruno Alves, Germany manager Joachim Löw, and Spain boss Vicente del Bosque all failed to find room for Messi among their top three in 2012 Ballon d'Or voting. Maybe if he'd just done a bit more, I don't know, maybe 92 or 93 goals perhaps, then they might have voted differently. So it has always been stupid, albeit in different stupid ways, with a massive emphasis in recent years on big games and trophies, so much so that it has basically become a case of who won the Champions League, or in a tournament year, who won the Euros or the World Cup, and then, alright, who was the best player in that team, rather than starting from the basic premise of who actually played the best, regardless of the team that they played for, or what they did or didn't win. Stanley Matthews, Kevin Keegan and Luis Figo all won the Ballon d'Or during years in which they didn't win a single trophy. It is unthinkable to imagine that happening now. To eradicate the politicising and nepotism within Ballon d'Or voting, France football reverted to a system of solely journalists being able to vote in 2022, as well as restricting the number of eligible journalists. Previously, every national team captain and manager had a vote, along with a designated journalist from every FIFA-affiliated nation. Since 2022, no players or managers get to vote, and only a designated journalist from each of the top 100 ranked national teams in the FIFA World Rankings are eligible. At the same time, France football also changed the monitoring period from the calendar year in which the vote was held, which had been the case since 1956, to the football season, and specifically the Orthodox European season, running from August to August, making sure to include any international competitions that fall within each season. And last but not least, they also changed the actual voting system and methodology from a ranked choice from first through to fifth, with first scoring 5 points, second 4 points, third 3 points, fourth 2 points, and fifth 1 point, to a system of selecting a top 10 with a more complex scoring system, where first place gets 15 points, second gets 12, followed by 10, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. In theory at least then, there should be less partisanship clouding the judgment of Ballon d'Or voters, yet Real Madrid, whose player did win the first Ballon d'Or under this system in 2022, are still crying foul play and claiming that the Ballon d'Or doesn't respect them. There are two reasons for this. One, they are little bitches, and we will circle back round to that one later on, because they are not alone in that front. And two, because 2024 was also the first year in which the Ballon d'Or was co-organised by France Football and UEFA. You may recall that between 2010 and 2015, the Ballon d'Or was named the FIFA Ballon d'Or, and it was co-organised by France Football and FIFA, and after that partnership ended, FIFA founded the rival The Best FIFA Football Awards, great name, which has run since 2016. Previously, UEFA had their own set of awards, including the UEFA Men's Player of the Year award, which ceased to exist in 2024, owing to UEFA's partnership with France Football in overseeing the Ballon d'Or. Real Madrid, as you are probably aware, are not on the best terms with UEFA at this moment in time. Despite being the most successful team in the history of UEFA competitions and UEFA's premier competition, the UEFA Champions League, Real Madrid were, and indeed still are, at the forefront of attempts to break away from UEFA, found a European Super League, and create a system where the elite teams retain more revenue generated through their broadcast rights, a project which was spearheaded, and again still is, by Real Madrid president Florentino Perez. Perez and UEFA president Alexander Ceferin and Real Madrid and UEFA by extension have been in a war of words and strategy ever since. Ceferin previously labelled Perez, along with Joan Laporta and Andrea Agnelli, incompetent, comments which Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti branded strange. Perez responded by claiming that maybe UEFA needs to be reminded who Real Madrid is, claiming that you could only understand Ceferin's opposition to the Super League as, quote, political interest trying to maintain their position, but we will not give in to illegal threats, end quote. In May, it was alleged that in text messages to disgraced former RFEF president Luis Rubiales, Ceferin had called Perez a racist and an idiot. It would be fair to say that there is no love lost between Real Madrid and UEFA then, and it was conspicuous that in their official statement, Real Madrid stated, quote, it is clear that Ballon d'Or UEFA does not respect Real Madrid, and Real Madrid does not go where it is not respected. Now, unlike when FIFA partnered with France Football and the awards became known as the FIFA Ballon d'Or, UEFA's partnership has led to no such change in naming rights. Real Madrid referring to it as Ballon d'Or UEFA, therefore, is an obviously deliberate act and a tacit admission that their refusal to send any delegates to Paris was motivated not only by their genuine anger or upset at Vinicius Junior losing the vote to Rodri, but also by their much more significant all-out war with UEFA and Perez's personal battle with Ceferin, which now spans more than 5 years. Real Madrid's claim that the Ballon d'Or, or the Ballon d'Or UEFA as they would prefer to call it, doesn't respect them, doesn't seem to have much basis in fact. While everyone was busy arguing about Rodri versus Vinicius, I couldn't help but notice that Carlo Ancelotti won the Johan Cruyff Award as the world's best coach for the 2023-24 season, ahead of Xabi Alonso, who won Bayer Leverkusen their first ever Bundesliga title, while going invincible in all domestic competitions, also winning the DFB Pokal to make it a domestic double, and reaching the final of the Europa League. Even Real Madrid winning the 2024 Men's Club of the Year, you can understand it, given that they won both La Liga and the Champions League, but if anyone had a right to feel aggrieved at being snubbed at the 2024 Ballon d'Or, it is surely Bayer Leverkusen, off the back of one of the most remarkable seasons in the history of football, for a club of modest means, far exceeding any and all reasonable expectations. Yet their manager won nothing, their team won nothing, and none of their players even made the top 10 of Ballon d'Or voting. Personally, I find that baffling, or at least, I would if I thought that the Ballon d'Or had any merit whatsoever, or deserved to be treated with anything other than utter disinterest. Most absurd of all, though, has to be Dani Carvajal coming fourth in overall Ballon d'Or voting. I say this as someone who has always defended Dani Carvajal from accusations of mediocrity and who has considered him to be one of the best right-backs in the world for the last decade. But seriously, come on. Dani Carvajal was not the fourth best player in world football last season. He just wasn't. Obviously. I can't believe that I'm even having to say those words. Performance-wise, the 2023-24 season wasn't even Dani Carvajal's best individual season. He played better in at least the 2016-17 and 2019-20 seasons, nor, arguably, was he even the best right-back in world football last season. He just won a lot, which is all that the Ballon d'Or has become about. In 2009, Dani Alves won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Champions League, the UEFA Super Cup, and the FIFA Club World Cup with Barcelona, as well as the FIFA Confederations Cup with Brazil. That is 7, yes, 7 trophies, 2 more than Carvajal, in a single year. And dare I say, Dani Alves was more impressive and more instrumental in those successes in 2009 than Dani Carvajal was in the 2023-24 season. Yet if anyone had suggested that Dani Alves deserved to win the Ballon d'Or in 2009, or even threaten the podium places, you would rightly have questioned whether they might be suffering from lead poisoning. In fact, Alves wasn't even among the 30 nominees for the 2009 Ballon d'Or. Personally, I think that was probably a bit harsh, given that Andrei Arshavin made the cut, but it shows how wildly distorted people's perceptions of what matters when it comes to an award like the Ballon d'Or have become in recent years. The idea that Dani Carvajal was better in the 2023-24 season individually than Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe, Lamine Yamal, Harry Kane, Florian Wirtz, and even Cole Palmer is genuinely laughable. But, in fairness, as we've already established, that isn't the criteria. That would be the slightly updated criteria of 1. Individual performances, decisive and impressive character, 2. Team performances and achievements, and 3. Class and fair play. Now, when you take those 3 criteria into consideration, Dani Carvajal still obviously wasn't the 4th best footballer in the world last season. Can everyone please stop being so stupid? Ademola Lookman, likewise, is a brilliant footballer. I am delighted to see how he has developed at Atalanta, following stop-start stints in the Premier League and at RB Leipzig, and he had a brilliant 2023-24 season, scoring 17 goals and making 10 assists in an Atalanta team that finished 4th in Serie A and won the Europa League. But, having said all of that, the reality is that if it wasn't for one game within an entire season, namely the Europa League final, in which he scored a memorable hat-trick, he never would have been near the nominees, let alone cited as having a better season than Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, or Cole Palmer. But no one should be surprised. The Ballon d'Or, for a long time now, has been defined by moments, not by ability, consistent performances, or overall impact. The idea that Lionel Messi went from not being among the 30 best players in the world in 2022 to being, and quite comfortably, the best player in the world again in 2023, but to then not being among the top 30 at all again in 2024, is obviously ridiculous to any thinking person, yet, if you took Ballon d'Or voting to be gospel, that is what you would be led to believe. In terms purely of Vinicius Junior, there are 2 points to be made here. One is that I don't think he was the overwhelmingly obvious choice to win the Ballon d'Or, or that him missing out constitutes some sort of earth-shattering aberration, as Madrid's protestations would have you believe. It's not all about stats, of course, and that is another way in which people's thinking about footballers, and the Ballon d'Or specifically was warped during the Messi and Ronaldo era, that I could go on a whole other rant about, but Vinicius scored 24 goals and made 11 assists in 39 games for Real Madrid in the 2023-24 season. Meanwhile, he only scored 2 goals, both of them coming in the same game against Paraguay, and made 1 assist for Brazil. Vinicius wasn't actually the favourite to win the Ballon d'Or until right at the end of the 2023-24 season, thanks to his 2 goals away at Bayern Munich in the Champions League semi-final, and his 1 goal against Borussia Dortmund in the final, which Madrid obviously won. Prior to that, his teammate Jude Bellingham had actually been more fancied to win the award, and one could still make the case that he had a better season than Vinicius. In his debut campaign at the Santiago Bernabeu, signed as a 19-year-old, Bellingham immediately assumed the mantle of being the main man, making a stunning start as almost a false 9, a position that he had never previously played in, and not just scoring lots of goals, but scoring lots of decisive goals, including winners against Almeria, Celta Vigo, Getafe, Union Berlin and Braga. In the biggest game of them all, El Clasico, Bellingham scored both of Madrid's goals, including a 92nd minute winner at the Camp Nou, proceeding to score another injury time winner, this time in the 91st minute, in the reverse fixture at the Bernabeu. It was a fairy tale season in which Bellingham won just as many trophies as Vinicius, actually scored 1 more goal, despite ostensibly being a midfielder for club and country, and enjoyed a better end-of-season tournament with his national team, scoring a dramatic injury-time overhead kick against Slovakia to keep England in the Euros, where they went on to reach the final, whereas Vinicius was practically anonymous in Brazil's underwhelming Copa America campaign in an international career that is yet to truly ignite. Had either Vinicius or Bellingham won trophies with either Brazil or England in 2024, it should be said, then I think that they would have been as good as nailed on to win it, and if they both had, I think that Bellingham probably would have clinched it. As it happened, neither of them did, opening the door for Rodri, who has been the best player in the world in his position for a few years now, won the Premier League title last season with Manchester City, went on an extraordinary unbeaten run, and rounded his season off with a Euros crown against England with Spain. Rodri wasn't the star of Spain's Euro 2024 success, despite somewhat oddly winning the Euro 2024 Player of the Tournament award, and he went off injured at half-time in the final, but he still had a magnificent season. The star for Spain, alongside Nico Williams, was Lamine Yamal, who I think was unfortunate to only finish 8th. To my mind, despite his age, and despite rightly winning the Copa Trophy very comfortably, Yamal was a legitimate candidate for the main prize. His consistency for Barcelona throughout the 2023-24 season was exceptional, his breakout on the international stage was generational, and he was probably the standout player at the Euros. Lautaro Martinez, likewise, probably deserved to be in with more of a shout, having been the star man and scoring 27 goals in an Inter Milan team that ran away with the Serie A title, as well as lifting the Copa America with Argentina at the end of the season, where he won the Golden Boot with 5 goals and made the team of the tournament. Even Harry Kane, if the Ballon d'Or actually recognised individual performances rather than collective team performances and trophies, could hardly have done anything more in his first season at Bayern Munich, putting on a flawless masterclass in centre-forward play, scoring 44 goals in the process. Meanwhile, Florian Wirtz has returned from an ACL injury to become the main man at Bayer Leverkusen, still aged only 20 for almost all of last season, as they went invincible domestically, and he scored 18 goals and made 20 assists. I don't think it is remotely outlandish to make the case that Harry Kane and Florian Wirtz, who finished 10th and 12th in 2024 Ballon d'Or voting, had better individual seasons and produced a higher standard of consistent performance levels in the 2023-24 season than Vinicius Junior. So no, I don't think Vinicius missing out is as outrageous as that time where I finished second to an Instagram account in the best content creator category at the Football Content Awards. That really was a disgrace. And yet, I still turned up. By the same token, I think there is an underappreciation of Vinicius Junior among some people, and if you want to adopt the language of Real Madrid, quite possibly a lack of respect. In response to Vinicius missing out on the Ballon d'Or, I've seen all kinds of wild claims about him being bang average and how football is dead if he ever wins a Ballon d'Or. Vinicius perhaps isn't as immediately awe-inspiring or captivating to watch as someone like his compatriot Neymar, who never won the Ballon d'Or, and, he isn't as good as Neymar in truth, but that most assuredly does not make him bang average. Between the ages of 20 and 23, Vinicius scored 20 plus goals in 3 consecutive seasons for Real Madrid, and he has already scored 8 goals in 15 games so far this season, now aged 24. There is nothing average, underwhelming, or normal about any of that. And while I don't think that it was a no-brainer that Vinicius should have won the Ballon d'Or, nor would he have been an unreasonable pick, and his spot in second place was much deserved. For years, the only drama surrounding the Ballon d'Or was whether Messi or Ronaldo would win it. They were so far clear of everyone else. The players who missed out because of their supremacy, Xavi, Iniesta, Neymar, Bale, Suarez, Neuer, even the likes of Zlatan, Rooney and Hazard, may well have won it at their peaks had they been up against the current crop of competition in a post-Messi and Ronaldo world. Now that we are no longer inhabiting that world, much more tightly contested Ballon d'Ors, with several strong candidates with little to split them, as used to be the case, may well become the norm once again. While Real Madrid's refusal to show up to the ceremony was influenced by the ongoing dispute by Perez and UEFA, it also speaks of the rise of ego and tantrums within football. It used to be a cliche in football for players to say something along the lines of, "I'm not bothered about individual awards. It's a team sport. 3 points are the most important thing, and while it's nice to be recognised, it's just a bonus. It's not something that I really think about," etc., etc. Now we've got a team boycotting the ceremony when they've won 3 awards and come 2nd, 3rd and 4th in one of the few men's awards that they haven't won, as if Vinicius Junior just had a season on par with Messi in 2012 or Van Basten in 89. And while everyone is understandably concerned about Vinicius, the real victim in all of this has to be Thogden. This was the poor lad's 100% sincere reaction to Rodri winning the award ahead of Vinicius Junior.
How is Rodri? No! No! I'm so done with this game. Can someone let me know in the comments? This is a disgrace.
In case you were wondering, since I don't do streams or YouTube shorts, this was my exact reaction. At the end of the day, as we all know, the Ballon d'Or is merely the support act for the main event, which is the far more prestigious Globe Soccer Awards. The Dubai-based awards, designed solely to massage Cristiano Ronaldo's ego when he didn't win the Ballon d'Or, and to celebrate George Mendes' clients, you will be pleased to know, is still going strong in 2024. Fun fact, when Messi had the 91-goal year in 2012, the Globe Soccer Awards obviously, as you would, handed their Best Player of the Year award to, that's right, George Mendes' client Radamel Falcao. According to the Globe Soccer Awards, Lionel Messi has only been the best player in the world once since 2011, whereas Cristiano Ronaldo has taken the crown 6 times. Most amusingly, George Mendes has won the totally impartial Best Agents of the Year award 11 times, out of the 13 years in which it has been awarded. The Globe Soccer Awards actually gave their 2024 Best Player of the Year award to neither Rodri nor Vinicius Junior, but to Kylian Mbappe. But the moral of the story is that if Real Madrid and Vinicius Junior are really upset about missing out on the Ballon d'Or, they should just set up their own awards ceremony based in Riyadh and name themselves as the winners every single season, regardless of whether they played well or won anything. Hang on. Oh god. I really shouldn't be giving them any ideas. I was joking, Florentino. It was just a joke. Oh, for f***'s sake. That is it for today's video, but thank you all very much, as ever, for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. I sincerely hope that was the case. Don't hit the like button if you're annoyed with me, which for some people it is probably the case. Let me know your thoughts either way down below in the comments, and of course it goes without saying, make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on not just for this channel, HITC Sevens, but also my second channel, Alfie Potsama, both of which should be about to appear on your screens now, along with a couple of videos that you might enjoy watching after this one. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads via the username at HITC Sevens on all 3, should you wish to do so, and all of those links plus a whole lot more should be down in the video description below. Cheers.